You're listening to I'm Ready for My Close-Up on Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Alex Fitch, and on this week's show, delayed slightly due to Resonance's coverage of the Frieze Arts Fair, I'm talking to the filmmaking duo Hammer and Tongs, a.k.a. director Garth Jennings and producer Nick Goldsmith. Garth and Nick have a couple of feature films under their belt, the movie adaptation of the Hitch-hiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and the charming British tween-age drama Son of Rambow, plus numerous pop videos for the Eels, Vampire Weekend, Blur, Radiohead, R.E.M. and Fatboy Slim. Their latest cinematic outing is the Belgian film Panic au Village, A Town Called Panic, which is a feature-length children's animation that they weren't actually involved with as creators, but have become responsible for the film's promotion in the UK. To find out why, stay tuned. First though, here's an extract from the trailer, followed by my review of the film.
Bientôt au cinéma. Préparez-vous pour un spectacle décoiffant.
Petite douche. La laine bien fraîche.
Plus terrifiant que Psychose. Plus impressionnant que la tour infernale.
Oh non!
Plus romantique que la leçon de piano.
Comment vous faites de la musique?
Plus bouleversant que la marche de l'empereur.
T'as dit quelque chose, cheval?
Oui, il y a un truc qui bouge là-bas.
Plus spectaculaire que Voyage au centre de la Terre.
Dites, le cours de piano vient de commencer, je m'aperçois que vous n'êtes pas là.
Non, j'ai pas oublié, là, je suis en route, là.
Voici Panique au village, avec Indien dans le rôle d'Indien, Cowboy dans le rôle de Cowboy, et avec Cheval.
C'est ton anniversaire!
Bah oui.
I wouldn't be the first critic to compare A Town Called Panic to the Toy Story franchise, and I dare say I won't be the last. But in a year that has seen the third instalment of Pixar's saga released, comparisons are fascinating due to the probably unintentional similarities between the two films. At the risk of stating the obvious, the Toy Story films are about the lives of toys when no one's watching, toys that move with all the convincing perambulation of someone living, with the exception of the vacuum toy soldiers with their removable feet, something that afflicts all the characters in A Town Called Panic. But the characters in Toy Story, when moved about by kids who are holding them in their hands, the movements become unrealistic and staccato. Conversely, in neither the Town Called Panic movie or the short films which preceded it, there is no discussion of what the lead characters, cowboy, Indian and horse, are, i.e. they're not defined as self-aware toys, just that they are living creatures in the Panic universe like any other fantasy or kids film featuring non-human characters that talk, but the physicality of the characters is that of toys moving unrealistically, as if their movements were controlled by invisible children. A Town Called Panic, therefore, is a film that could have been made by the human characters in Toy Story, moving their toys about on stop-motion camera and dubbing in silly voices in post-production. The Byzantine plot, with its non-sequitous twists and turns, shows a charming childlike approach to the storytelling, which reinforces the feeling of the film being made by invisible children, in comparison to the plots of the Toy Story films, which, while gripping and child-friendly, are written by nostalgic adults pining for their lost childhoods. The world and characters of A Town Called Panic first appeared in a series of 5-minute short films of the same name that were dubbed into English by Aardman Animation from the original French, screened on Nickelodeon, and further disseminated on YouTube and elsewhere. The popularity of the shorts led a British milk distributor to hire the animators to create a series of adverts for Cravendale in the UK, which, rather than starring Panic's plastic cowboy, Indian and horse in a tall thin yellow house that's bigger on the inside, star a plastic cyclist, pirate and cow in a tall thin brown house that's bigger on the inside. So even if you haven't seen the original shorts that the film is continuing on from, you might have seen an advert for milk in the same milieu. The plot for the movie starts like any charming but simplistic children's TV show. 3 characters share a house and have inoffensive misadventures. In the case of the film, it's Horse's birthday, so Cowboy and Indian want to buy him a birthday present. They choose a brick barbecue online, but one presses the wrong button on the keyboard and accidentally buys 1 million bricks, which eventually swamp the town with hilarious consequences. However, after this initial half hour of plot plays out, the film becomes increasingly fantastical with the arrival of underwater mermen, whose vast subterranean world exists beneath the town, accessible through ponds and puddles, mad scientists, a trip to the North Pole, and a giant robotic penguin. With these increasingly outrageous developments, the film becomes more than the simplistic tale aimed at young children it starts out as, and becomes a surrealistic fantasy with roots in the Victorian silent era, recalling Méliès's adaptations of Jules Verne, as well as Nick Park's Wallace and Gromit series, making it obvious why Aardman took an interest in translating the short films. While the Panic shorts were distributed by Aardman in the UK, the movie has been taken on by music video creators Hammer and Tongs, and again this seems like a perfect fit, as director Garth Jennings and producer Nick Goldsmith, while also responsible for a Disney film, The Hitch-hiker's Guide to the Galaxy, with CGI as advanced as Toy Stories, in some scenes of that film they used simple practical effects, such as the lead characters turning into knitted toys after a reality shift, and one planet's defence system existing in the form of the cinema's oldest joke, hitting characters in the face with a rake as they stand on them. Hammer and Tong's second film, Son of Rambow, took this interest in simple filmmaking one stage further, dramatising the attempts of a boy with a sheltered upbringing who's remaking Sylvester Stallone's First Blood on video camera with schoolyard special effects. Jennings and Goldsmith weren't involved in the production of A Town Called Panic, and unlike Aardman have decided to keep the original soundtrack subtitled for the UK movie release, but as fans of the franchise have taken up the role of British promoters, which proves, if not apparent from the shorts already, that the film has the sort of viral appeal that makes viewers want to tell all their friends about it. This is lo-fi fantastical storytelling for the ADHD generation, who want to change genres and situations with the speed of the TV remote control. The unpredictability of the plot, which remains engaging as it lurches from one unlikely scenario to another, makes it perfect viewing for young children, and also adults who have looked enviously at their children's toys and thought, what if we made a movie with them? In some respects, this makes A Town Called Panic more honest than the Pixar franchise, as it uses tools available to kids and tells its story in a way that makes it feel collaborative with the target audience. This feels like a new kind of storytelling, one that has also turned up recently in the field of comics with the webcomic Axe Cop that you can find at www.axecop.com, and in viral YouTube videos made with Lego, that as well as being fun to watch for all ages, have the tactile aesthetic that might inspire a new generation of filmmakers, particularly those who are savvy with internet marketing. A Town Called Panic may be cheap and somewhat disposable in its storytelling and production, but it has enough unexpected qualities and joie de vivre to make the movie as much of a cult hit as the shorts which preceded it, and hopefully the film will be successful enough to warrant another cinematic adventure for everyone involved. Here's my interview with A Town Called Panic's promoters in the UK, Hammer and Tongs.
So you guys are the British executive producers of A Town Called Panic, or is that too posh a title?
This sounds fantastic.
Sounds bizarre.
I like it. Yeah,
It sounds.
Nick Goldsmith.
Yes, we are. No, we're helping support the film because we love it so much. I think that's the main thing.
Sure. I mean, that's something that I've come across before, say with American filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese, that they've decided to promote a classic world cinema title, for a DVD release or whatever. But I think this is the first time I've come across directors from one country picking up a film from another country that they have no involvement in, but feeling so passionate about it that they've sort of taken over the PR, for want of a better word.
Garth Jennings.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it. We just really loved it that much. And it was odd when we first asked to consider it, because we've always made our own things. But when we saw it, we just thought it would be brilliant to do. and really worth doing as well, to try and get as many people to see it as possible, because we just love it. I think people should.
Yeah, it's also quite nice that Optimum thought that we could help.
Yeah.
So when they did ask us, and then again our initial reaction was, well, we're not sure what we could do, and then seeing the film going, yes, we'll do whatever it takes. It was quite nice to be asked and to try and get involved as much as we can, as far as giving them ideas, helping promote doing things like this. And it just feels sort of right, because the film's so good.
So you basically came to the film cold. You hadn't seen any of the shorts beforehand.
I hadn't. Garth had.
I'd seen the shorts. I hadn't seen the whole series. I think there were 3 series of the TV series. Yeah. I'd only seen 1. And I don't think I'd even seen the whole thing, but I just always liked it. And always loved the style of animation. And but then we'd followed the film and always thought it would be great. You know, sort of seeing it when they premiered it at Cannes, it looked so interesting. But then, I don't know about you. Are you one of those people that looks up trailers all the time?
I used to. I think I'm growing out of it.
Yeah, I'm probably the same now, getting there. But I've been through several years of just following what's going on, and I like to see all the little clips in that. And that one just was so different and unique. And having seen the other clips, it just looked like that was going to be interesting. And then for ages didn't hear anything, and then got a call from Optimum. So definitely,
because it seems to be a film that's tailor-made for your appreciation. Because seeing, for example, the subject matter of Son of Rambow, about an amateur filmmaker who's using the tools available, and then seeing your more recent pop promos, such as for Vampire Weekend, they're all very much practical effects.
Yeah.
And indeed, I think it was the second video you did for the Eels, which is like an extended episode of Art Attack with people making things. I mean, it seems to be something. It was
Hot Chip?
No, Hot Chip. You're yes.
Probably Hot Chip.
Yeah, it ends up as like this apocalyptic scene at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems to be very much something that you were already moving towards, you know, thing that you're very much into.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean, we definitely do handmade sort of. We've done our fair share of sort of, in-camera effects and stuff. Well, we've always messed about with things like that, and I suppose it appeals to us. I think it's not so much the aesthetic as the sense of humour that appealed to us the most. But then I suppose that is tied into the aesthetic, isn't it? It's the way that they're animated that are often the funny things about the scene. It's just so clever and endearing and imaginative and different and funny. But very different to the work we do, obviously, because it's animated. But I think there's maybe a match in sensibilities, I suppose. Appreciation for silliness, yeah.
Well, when I spoke to you last about Son of Rambow, I spoke about how it felt like that film was very much of the zeitgeist then, that the interest in sort of kids picking up video cameras, with the whole fascination with the Indiana Jones that was remade by kids, and people putting that kind of footage on YouTube. Again, with the release of A Town Called Panic, it seems to be coinciding with makers' fairs, with people actually being really interested in making things again and then distributing their wares over the internet.
I like the idea of being part of a zeitgeist. Let's just leave it at that, not actually going to the fact that we have no idea. Just going with our gut on all of this. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's always that much more fun. I mean, again, not having made it, I suppose in things that we've done, like in Hitch-hikers, we had the animated section where the crew become knitted, and that was stop frame animation. I think there's just something more fun in it being in front of you, and you being able to, it being tactile, and you be able to touch it and move it, and it's there, and that you can see the craft of how it's been made right in front of you. And I guess with A Town Called Panic, even though it's quite sort of, they're very simple characters, but the craft is in how well they've animated them, and animated them in a way where they're still in keeping with the structures that they are a plastic toy whose feet are stuck to the ground together, and that's how it can then run. And there's, I think there's a charm in that, which is what makes it lovely.
Well, it's like the lo-fi version of Toy Story, and I imagine that if a kid watches these films, they might see Toy Story and think that's amazing, but not necessarily go through the thought process of, and then if I study for 10 years the subject of computer animation and then do a degree in it and then do some training, maybe I can do that. While if they watch Town Called Panic, they might think, I just need a video camera or even a web camera or a stills camera.
I can do that now.
And I can make it.
It's true. I mean, even though obviously it's incredibly clever and complex,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
200
sure.
models per character. But you're right. There's something. It's something tangible. It's in the room. There is something nice about knowing that something actually exists as well. Certainly, as things become more virtual, there's something nice to balance it out with. It's like knowing that the radio is live. There is something more engaging about knowing it's happening right there and then, rather than be on the iPlayer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that I'm against all that. It's all great. I mean, like we've used all the technology, using it now, doing all sorts of computery bits and pieces, but not against any of it. But it's just always trying to find the most engaging way to tell the story. And they've invented their own little world over there. Loads of their own rules about everything, colour schemes and sounds and voices and everything. And it sounds like it's very concentrated.
The version that's going to be released in this country, will it be dubbed or subtitled? As far as you know?
Subtitled. We had they asked us about that when we got involved, and it feels like there's so much in those voices that are shouting all the way through the film, and the fact that it's in French actually adds to it.
Yeah.
And there was a discussion that we all had at Optimum, and everyone was like, "No, it should stay the same."
And also, I mean, by encouraging subtitled kids' films, you might actually help to get children into foreign languages more.
They'll all know how to say horse in
They'll know how
French.
to shout, Stephen! Yeah. My kids have all seen it, and they've seen it about 6 times. They all love it. Don't understand it, but they get it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They don't understand what that word meant in French, but they understand what's going on. Yeah. They absolutely love it.
And I mean, I think, your passion for the film is something that's quite unusual in this day and age. That, for example, when I went to the preview screening a month or so ago, you guys were there to introduce it.
Oh, right. Yes, you were at that one.
Yeah.
That was lovely. I wish we could have stayed for that, actually. It was really good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy to hear that I took away one of the Indian headdresses for a friend's kids. So.
Yeah, you've got to. You couldn't leave those behind. They're perfect fancy dress things.
Well, and so when it comes to the film nearing release in this country, what sort of things are you guys going to be doing to help promote it?
Well, there's quite a lot of things we came up with Optimum that they're going to be doing, which I'm really impressed by, actually. We just saw the sort of how it's all going, sort of list of things that are happening. And so it's so many of the things we talked about. And in the past, I'm sort of used to it being the opposite, that you have grand ideas and it's like, well, that guy wasn't available, so we're going to do this instead, or we didn't have enough money for that, and we've scaled it all down to this. But it hasn't been that at all, and not that it needs a tremendous budget or anything, but it's just inventive and funny ideas. And, it's got an ambition, that film, as well. Even though it's tiny figures, it's got a sort of bombastic approach to, right, now we're going to go to the Arctic.
Yeah.
No, now we're underwater and they've stolen the walls.
Yeah.
And somehow the spirit of that should be in the ideas we have for marketing the film. So they range from daft things like making 2D glasses to go with the film for people so that they feel like they're getting their money's worth after all this 3D business, through to all sorts of other things, which I don't want to spoil just yet, because they're about to come out, but they feel like they would have been made by the characters in the film. That was the sort of thinking. If it felt like it was part of that, then that would hopefully work. Yeah, we'll see.
Have you had many discussions with the filmmakers about their process?
Directly, no.
Okay.
No, we've been. The first thing to do, obviously, once we said yes, we'd love to do it, was make sure that they were fine with us coming on board, and it was mutual. It turns out we were both fans of each other, so that works out.
When we showed the film at Somerset House, it was a double bill with Team America.
Okay.
So we got up and introduced it at Somerset House. So we videoed that and sent it to them so they get an idea of what it was like to be at Somerset House, which was amazing.
The crowd suitably uproarious?
We got them to give a big cheer, yes.
Excellent.
Yes, it was great.
Because, obviously, having watched the film, I'd be curious to ask all sorts of questions to the filmmakers. Not the least, the style of script writing, which actually feels a bit childlike. The way that you have a very sort of normal story for maybe in terms of a house which has a horse and a cowboy and an Indian. It seems very normal for the first half an hour, with a sort of traditional story of things going wrong and like a children's program milieu. But then all of a sudden you get these strange things going on, like the mer people and the giant robots in the Arctic, and that feels like a very kind of organic way of storytelling that you would associate with a younger person making up a story as they went along?
Yeah. I don't know, because I've never sat down with them and gone, hey, and asked that question you've just done. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was it. And even if it wasn't, that's what it feels like, and that's what's enjoyable. Whether it was really contrived, they really worked it out. It doesn't really... It's almost... It'd be interesting to find out, but on the other hand, it just works as it is, no matter how they got there.
What you're doing with this film, by being British filmmakers who are promoting European cinema, I was under the impression that was something that was also part of the remit of the UK Film Council. So
we are the new UK.
All that's left.
That was kind of going to be my next question.
Yeah.
As, you know,
we are the UK Film Council.
As the UK Film Council is being curtailed in whatever manner, do you think it's now going to be
Tongs Council?
It's not necessarily just you guys, but maybe
King and Queen of
British filmmakers who are keen about subjects, whether it's you guys or other people who are successful, be it Guy Ritchie or Michael Winterbottom, like whoever. Do you think it's going to be the case that because there isn't a government-supported scheme anymore, it's going to be down to British filmmakers to almost say, this is what else is out there in the world. If you like our stuff, maybe you should look at other people's stuff too.
God, I'd never even thought of it. No, seriously, I don't know.
Because it does almost feel like you're starting that process off with this film, however unintentional.
Well, this feels a bit one-off, though. This doesn't feel like this could catch on.
Okay.
But only because it's such an odd and unique film. If there was this whole load of... You know how Quentin Tarantino's helped with all the, the fighting films from the Far East? You could see that there's a sort of... Yes, we can help bring all these films to everyone's attention. That's the only one of its kind. It's
this is true.
It's not like there's loads of stop frame toy... Anyway, I don't know. And as far as tying that in with the collapse of the UK Film Council, our ambitions and our
just changed.
But it is interesting, isn't it? The idea of how you get films out there, and how people come on board to help. I suppose that there's no rules really. Because I haven't thought of it past this though.
Okay, because I just wonder on a personal level. I mean, I write for a film magazine. I do radio shows. For people listening to this on the radio, I'm now pointing at my microphone. I do radio shows about films that interest me. But beyond hiring a venue occasionally and showing an obscure movie, there's not much else I can do. But I feel that guys like you two, because you have a position of influence, you can be ambassadors.
Yeah.
So you don't actually feel that after this movie you might start watching obscure films thinking, I'm going to help that one get released in the UK.
Yeah, sort of like the horse whisperers of film, just helping them. No, that doesn't really appeal to me at all, actually.
Yeah, I think we're interested in making our own films, and it was just that this one came along and we were asked to do it, and whereas we would normally go, no, this one made us say yes because it was so good. So I think, like Garth said, it was a one, because actually what we want to be doing is making films.
Yeah.
Supporting films is brilliant, and supporting this film is a joy. But I think what we want to be doing is making films, and hopefully having everyone support us. And getting everyone to come and see it.
Yeah, we'll be getting them to take over to Belgium.
Yeah.
And on a personal level, has the demise or supposed demise of the Film Council affected your plans for the future, or was it something that was never actually something you guys were involved with because you had this background in pop promos, that you had a more sort of corporate relationship, for want of a better word, with filmmaking than having to come from, say, an art school background that required a certain amount of sort of outside funding?
We're working on a project at the moment with the Film Council.
Oh, right, okay. The last the last few pennies in their account.
So whereas we didn't before, we are now. Okay. That's got nothing to do with their demise. The government went, oh my God, Hammer and Tongs are working with them.
You're working with who? Close that down!
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, before we wouldn't. It's not we wouldn't, because we've always approached the Film Council every time we've tried to do something. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a shame. It's a big shame that the Film Council is going. I mean, the weird thing is I don't think anyone knows when it got announced it was going.
Yeah.
And that was it. No one knows when it's going.
I hope it's going to be like Six Music.
Yes.
It's like,
it'll
it's
be
gone, we're
saved.
getting rid of that. And then suddenly everyone goes, no, Charles Dance is writing in and everyone's writing in. And that hopefully we'll all, it'll all come back and be more popular than ever before, like Six Music was.
Yeah.
Is.
Well, it may be saved by Hammer and Tongs.
Yeah. Ooh. Nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Wow, this isn't so much a promotion as a crusade, is it? I like the fact you've sort of turned into these sort of, the Obama of British film. Oh, we're getting prizes for this. Brilliant.
One last question. When you were promoting Son of Rambow, you were talking back then about doing an animated film. And on your website at the moment, you're advertising for someone who works in an animated style that's similar to Bambi and...
Right, yep.
So does this mean that the animated film that you guys have been hoping to do for years is...
We're working on it at the moment, yes.
getting there?
Yeah, it's
The
getting...
clues?
Yeah.
The clues say yes.
You are very good. Yes. There's all sorts of work going on at the moment, and it's been really very good. It's early days, and it's not confirmed yet, but we are, putting it all together, and it's very interesting. It's a new area, even though we've worked with animation in commercials and music videos and all that sort of stuff. To do a full feature film is a new thing, and also trying to find the language and the style and all that sort of stuff is where we're at the moment. So it's experiment time, but it's going well. Really good. Very exciting.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
If you like the sound of A Town Called Panic, or indeed if you've seen the film already and would like to see more kids' films from around the world, the London Children's Film Festival is on at the Barbican from the 30th of October to the 7th of November, with two themed weekends, the 30th and the 31st being called Be Brave, Be Scared, and the 6th and 7th of November being called Be Musical, Be Animated, with a variety of unique screenings and premieres of new children's films. These include the premiere of Moomins and the Comet Chase in 3D on the 30th of October, a day which also includes screenings of the Indian Magic Silver and a special Back to the Future experience. And family-friendly scary movies for Halloween include Laban the Little Ghost, Kooky Spooky Shorts, and Monster Mutt, a family comedy about a dog called Max who turns into a monstrous mutt. On the 2nd of November, there's a film called Africa United, which is an enchanting film about the journey of three Rwandan children who want to attend a World Cup opening. On the 6th of November, there's a German cartoon called Laura's Star and the Mysterious Dragon Nian, not to mention other world cinema titles that weekend, including Here Comes Lola and I Am Kalam, a story about a young boy from Rajasthan. Information about all these films and the various activities going on at the Barbican during the Children's Film Festival can be found at www.barbican.org.uk/LCFF/Watts-on. More info can also be found on my blog www.panelborders.wordpress.com, where you can also find a link to my earlier interview with Garth Jennings about his film Son of Rambow. Thanks for listening.